Yo, what is going on, guys? Today I'm doing a best spawn locations in H1Z1 King of the Kill. Now this is based off of my own personal experiences of what places have the most loot the most frequently. Now H1 is a very RNG game, not everything spawns the same every game, it's always different, but for the most part these places that I've listed have the best loot the most amount of the time. Now getting started, this is a spawn location that I almost always go to in Pleasant Valley. I'm going to have two Pleasant Valley places that I like to go to. The first being the police station here. The police station always has multiple police cars most of the time. This time it only had one, but there's at least usually one. Sometimes I've seen 5 be there. That is, all based on the RNG spawns of it, but for the most part, there's always a lot of cars. There's usually one Lammy in the place, and there's a lot of guns. I mean, it is a police station, so you would expect there to be quite a few weapons. And that's basically the first spot that I wanted to tell you about. Now, moving into the next spot. The next spot is right outside of Pleasant Valley. It is the strip mall is what we usually like to call it. That's what I've heard most people call it. And it is a very good place to find loot. There's usually 2 vehicles here. There's almost always a truck in the back, and there's usually a cop car in front of the either the gas station or the building that I'm landing at. This time there was no cop car, but the truck that's back there is usually back there. Now I usually go to this red building. It's a restaurant. It usually has a lot of guns in it. It's a good place to land and find weapons. I've found multiple Kevlars in the building before. It just all is determined by the RNGs of the spawn, but it is a good place to land. There's usually at least 1 or 2 guns, and it's a good place to land to find at least a few weapons. But moving into the next spot, I think this one's going to be an army base. Now, army bases are a very, very good spot to land for weapons. That is a problem, though. The main problem is that a lot of people land there. Army bases are highly populated, and I mean, if you're good, you can get a ton of kills in the place, but you have to be quick to land and quick to find a weapon. If you aren't the first to find a weapon, you probably are going to get killed 99.9% of the time. What I like to do is land on the roof most of the time and punch through the windows and land inside the place on top of the shelves. There's usually weapons on top of the shelves, and that is a good way to get a gun quicker than everyone else. And usually you can get a kill before, get a good fair chance of getting a kill. But the next place is, there's 2 places you can land here. In this video, I'm going to land at the hospital, but you can land at the trailer park. Now, the difference is, if you don't want to interact with people, you want to just get looted up, get a vehicle, go to the hospital. The hospital is insanely good. I've done a whole video about the hospital by itself. There is an endless supply of loot in the hospital that you can get. The hospital is an amazing place. Nobody ever lands here. There's always at least a cop car and a jeep and a truck in the back of the place. Usually there's another cop car that's at the front of it, and there's just hundreds of thousands of bullets and med kits and just endless supplies of all kinds of just everything to get you geared up for the game. Now, you won't get any kills straight off the bat here. Usually there's no one that lands here, like I said, but I said you could land at the trailer park. Now, the trailer park is really, really RNG. Either you're going to find 7 trailers with no guns, or you're going to find a gun straight away. The trailer park's really, really random, and a lot of people land there. If you find a trailer with a gun in it, you're probably going to get a lot of kills, but it's very, very likely that you're going to find a shit ton of empty trailers. So if you don't want to, rely on the fact that you'll find a weapon straight off the bat, then you might not want to go to the trailer park. Now, the next spawn that I have for you should be another army base. I'm not positive what this is. This is pre-recorded gameplay, and I'm talking over it, but so the next one is the second Pleasant Valley spawn that I mentioned. Now, this is another place that I like to go to. It is a blue top building is what we call it, but it is a restaurant that is outside of the Walmart. Either blue top building is really good. There's a blue top building out by the police station, and then there's this blue top building behind the Walmart, as we like to call it. I think it's called Zims or something like that. I don't know what the name of the building is. We always call it Walmart. But the blue top buildings are a really good place to spawn as well. You can see I found already an AR, 2 shotguns, helmets. You know, there's always tan militaries in these seats. There's a Kevlar right there. This place is a really good place to land. Usually has a lot of weapons, and usually not many people land here. The only time people land at the blue top is if there's the police car spawning outside of it, which is there sometimes, and then, you know, sometimes it's not. It's RNG spawns. But if the cop car's there, there's going to be 3 to 4 people land there, so you got to watch out for that. But what I like to do is just land, run inside, and grab a gun, and as the people in the police car are driving away, usually they'll drive to the building across the street, and you can shoot them through the back windshield as they're going to the next place. Now, this next place is another really good spot. These last 2 spots are the best places in the game in most people's opinion. Most people would agree that these are the best places to land. Now, the first place is the cabins that are outside of Cranberry. The cabins are an insanely good place to land. Now, as I've gotten better at the game and, you know, been worried more about getting kills and having action at the beginning of the game than to actually, you know, just get loot and stuff, I've started going to the cabins. Now, the army base that you see to the left of me is a really good place to land, but it is a very highly populated army base. That is probably one of the most populated army bases. If you want to get a lot of kills, you can go there, or you can go to the airfield that's outside of the cabins. But the cabins are a place that you, if you want to land and not run into people and get a lot of loot, just like the hospital, then you can definitely do it here. You see, as I'm landing, there's no one landing here, and it's just a secluded place that you can go loot and chill out, not run into anyone, and get a ton of weapons and bullets to start the game off good. And usually there's a Jeep that spawns in the middle of the cabins. There's a 4-wheeler that spawns across the river next to the tents that are, there's a little campground there that a 4-wheeler spawns at. If you cross on over to the other set of cabins where the RVs are, there is another Jeep that spawns behind the farthest cabin on the left towards the electrical plant. And there's a 4-wheeler that also spawns there. And sometimes a truck spawns there. There's usually a lot of vehicles that spawn here. You just have to know where they spawn and know where to go to check for them. But I've been playing the game for a long time, so I know basically where every single vehicle in the game is. Now, moving into the last spot, I have an entire video dedicated to this place. It has 16,000 views. If you find yourself spawning above Ranchito, and you don't want to go into Ranchito, because Ranchito's a pretty dead town. Nobody spawns there. If you want to go there and get loot, you can. It's not a populated area by any means. Nobody really goes there. But what I like to do is land at this Jeep or land at the farm next to the outer edge of Ranchito towards the northwest of Ranchito. There is a farm there that there is a truck at and a Jeep 90% of the time. But I like to head to the dam up here in the farthest northeast corner of the map. This is an amazing place. Like I said, I have a whole video dedicated to it if you want to go to that. It's my most popular video on my channel. And you see I'm passing up a Jeep. There's a cop car that usually spawns out by these hay bales. It's not here this time, but there's a cop car that spawns next to it. Where that warehouse is to the left, there's another cop car, not a cop car, another Jeep that spawns there. And to the left where the road forks up here, there's 2 warehouses that have like 4 warehouses back behind them. There's 4 cop cars that spawn there if they spawn there. And in the middle of the warehouses that are at the main part of the dam, which I'm going to right here, in between the 2 buildings, there is another Jeep that spawns there. So there's a plethora of vehicles up here. You never have to worry about, you know, not having a way to leave, because the safe zone does not come up here. Daybreak did tweet and say that they are going to make it to where that a safe zone will be, you know, in other areas of the map, because right now usually it either ends at Spence Hills, or it ends in the northwest corner of the map, or it ends in the southwest corner of the map. There's never a southeastern safe zone. There's never a far northeastern safe zone. There is a northeastern safe zone, but it usually ends around Ranchito. It does not end at the very northeast of the map. So they're working on adding more safe zones into the game. Now, you know how Daybreak is. They don't get in a hurry to do anything, so you know, don't hold your breath that it'll be anytime soon. They're still needing to get the Asians out of the game and, you know, fix all these hackers that are ruining the game and all this stuff, but that's for a totally different video. But the dam is a really good place to land. There's usually 4 to 5 lammies throughout the entirety of the dam. I find 2 while I'm here, just in this little time of me being here. And you have to loot fast because the gas gets here really quick, and you got to be careful or you'll get hung in that, and that's no good. But, you know, you'll have a vehicle up here, like I said, so you don't have to worry about it that much. As you can see, there's tan militaries littered everywhere. There's med kits all over the walls. There's as much loot as you could possibly need. The dam is by far my favorite place to land, especially in 5s and stuff, so your whole team can get suited up and get all kinds of good loot before the game starts. And nobody ever comes up here. You know, not a lot of people know about it. Like I mentioned in my first video that got like 16,000 views. That's insane, but nobody ever comes up here, and it's a really good place. You see, I found another Lammy. There's ARs littered everywhere. I already have like 330 AR ammo, which you never need more than that, honestly. And yeah, that's basically the best spawns, in my opinion, in the entire game. So hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. It took me a while to get these recordings because you do not spawn at these places very often, to be honest. And I kept recording and I ended up with like 20 different recordings of or spawns of me just landing at PV. But right there in the middle of those 2 buildings is where the Jeep normally spawns. It didn't spawn this time, but that's where it usually is. And on that note, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.